Aloha and good evening, everybody. It is May the 3rd, Sunday night, and I am going to do two chapters tonight because I neglected to do one last night. Just got too tired and wasn't able to do it. So Chapter 10 and Chapter 11 of Ken Schoolin's The Adventures of Jonathan Gullible, a Free Market Odyssey. Chapter 10, The Dream Machine. Usually, the higher the unemployment, the greater the demand for more of the same government interference in the economy, which caused the unemployment in the first place. Alan Burris. How would Jonathan ever get home? He was a hardy, honest lad, willing to do any kind of work. Perhaps he might find a job with a ship's crew. Surely an island had to have a harbor and ships. As he pondered this problem, a thin man struggled to load a bulky machine onto a big horse-drawn wagon. He wore an eye-catching red suit and a stylish hat with a large feather stuck in the band. Catching sight of Jonathan, the man yelled, "Hey, kid, I'll pay you 5 canes to help me load." "Canes?" repeated Jonathan curiously. "Money. Paper payola. You want it or not?" "Sure," said Jonathan, having no better idea of what to do. It wasn't work on a ship, but he needed to earn his keep. Besides, the man looked shrewd and could offer some advice. After much pushing and shoving, they managed to heave the unwieldy machine on board. Wiping his brow, Jonathan stood back panting and looked at the object of his labor. The machine was large, with beautiful designs painted all over it. On the top was a large horn, such as the one Jonathan had once seen on a hand-cranked phonograph back home. "Such beautiful colors," said Jonathan, feeling dizzy while staring at the intricate pulsating patterns. "And what's that big horn on top?" "Come around to the front and see for yourself." So Jonathan climbed up onto the wagon and read the sign painted with elegant gold letters, "Golly Gomper's Dream Machine." "A dream machine?" repeated Jonathan. "You mean it makes dreams come true?" "It sure does," said the sharp-faced man. He twisted out the last screw and removed a panel in the back of the machine. Inside it were the works of a simple phonograph. Instead of a hand crank, it had a spring with a wind-up key. A switch turned on the turntable. "There's nothing but an old music box in here," declared Jonathan. "What do you expect?" said the man, "a fairy godmother?" "I don't know. I thought it would be a little, mysterious. After all, it takes something special to make people's dreams come true." A sly grin spread across the man's thin face, and he gave Jonathan a long, hard look. "Words, my curious friend. It just takes words to make some dreams come true. The problem is you never know just who will get the dream when you wish for something." Seeing Jonathan's puzzled expression, the man reached into his pocket and produced a tiny, crisp, white business card. He introduced himself in his staccato nasal twang. "Tanstoffel's the name. P.T. Tanstoffel." Just then he noticed that he had given Jonathan the wrong card, one that read G. Gomper instead. He snatched it back. "Excuse me, son, that's yesterday's card." Shuffling through his wallet, he found another card of a slightly different size and color, presenting today's name. He then pulled out a poster with elegant gold lettering that he pasted over the original name on his sign. It read, "Dr. Tanstoffel's Dream Machine." The man explained smoothly, "People have their dreams, right? It's just that they don't know how to make dreams come true, right?" Dr. Tanstoffel nodded his head every time he said, "Right?" Jonathan began nodding dumbly in unison. "So you pay money, turn the key, and this old box plays a certain subtle instruction over and over again, right?" Tanstoffel nodded again. Jonathan followed with a bob. "It's always the same message, and there are always plenty of dreamers who love to hear it, right?" "What's the message, Mr. Tanstoffel?" asked Jonathan, suddenly conscious of his head bobbing up and down. The man corrected Jonathan. "Please, Dr. Tanstoffel. As I was saying, the dream machine tells people to think of whatever they would like to have, and," the man glanced around to see if anyone was listening, "then it explains to the dreamers what to do in a very persuasive manner, right?" "You mean it hypnotizes them?" asked Jonathan, his eyes widening. "Oh, no, objected the man. "It tells them that they are good people and that what they wish for is a good thing, right? It's so good that they should demand it, right?" "Is that all?" Jonathan said in awe. "That's all." After a moment's hesitation, Jonathan asked, So what do these dreamers demand? The man pulled out an oil can and proceeded to oil the gears inside. Well, it depends a lot on where I put this machine. I frequently put it in front of a factory like this one, Bastiat Builders. He jerked a thumb in the direction of a squat two-story building across the street. And sometimes I set it by the Palace of Lords. Around here, people always want more money. More money is a good thing, you know, because prices are always going up and people always need more, right? So I've heard, said Jonathan, rolling his eyes in sympathy. Do they get it? The man pulled back and wiped his hands on a rag. Some do, just like that, he said with a snap of his fingers. Those dreamers stormed down to the palace and demanded laws that would force the factory to give them a threefold increase in pay and benefits. What benefits? Said Jonathan. Like security. More security is a good thing, right? So the dreamers demanded laws that would force factories to buy insurance for them. Insurance for sickness, insurance for unemployment, insurance for death, right? That sounds great, exclaimed Jonathan. Those dreamers must have been very happy. He turned to look back at the factory and noticed that there didn't seem to be much going on. Faded paint made the buildings look tired and no light shined from the dirty, broken windows. Pieces of shattered glass lay scattered over the pavement. The man finished his oiling, replaced the panel, and tightened the screws back into place. With a final wipe of his rag over the polished surface of the box, he bounced out of the cart and went to check the harness. Jonathan jumped down and turned to the man, repeating, I said they must have been very happy, to get all that money and security, and grateful too. Did they give you a medal or a banquet or celebrate? Nothing of the sort, said Dr. Tonstoffel curtly. I nearly got tarred and feathered. They almost destroyed my delicate dream machine last night with rocks, bricks, and just about anything else they could throw. You see, their factory closed yesterday, and the workers blamed me. Why did the factory close? It seems the factory couldn't earn enough to pay the workers raises and benefits. Now they've got to retool and try to make something else. But then, said Jonathan, that means the dreams didn't come true after all. If the factory closed, then nobody gets paid. I lost my place. If the factory closed, then nobody gets paid, and nobody gets security either. Nobody gets anything. Why, you're just a swindler. You said that the dream machine... Hold on there, chap. The dreams came true. What I said was, stressed the man slowly, that you never know just who will get the dream when you wish for something. It so happens that every time an old factory closes here on this Isle of Corumpo, that very dream comes true across the waters on the Isle of Nye. A new factory recently opened there, just a week's sail from here. Plenty of new jobs and security over there. As for me, well, I collect my money from the machine no matter what happens. Jonathan thought hard about the news of Nye, realizing that there was another island, one more prosperous than this one. Where's this island of Nye? He asked. Far east, over the horizon. The people of Nye have a factory just like this. When factory costs rose here, the people of Nye have a factory just like this. No mercy. When factory costs rose here, the factories over there got. When factory costs rose here, the factories over there got a lot more orders. They understand that having more customers is the best way of getting more of everything, pay and security. The workers on Corumpo can't just demand more from the customers. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch, you know. Everything has a cost. Dr. Tonstoffel chuckled as he tied the machine down with straps. He paid Jonathan for his help, then climbed over into the driver's seat and shook out the reins. Jonathan looked at the money he had been given and suddenly worried that it was soon going to be worthless. It was the same legal tender the couple had shown him in front of the official Bureau of Money Creation. Hey, Dr. Tonstoffel, wait. Yeah? Could you pay me with some other kind of money? Something that's not going to lose value? It's legal tender, pal. You've got to take it. Do you think I'd use this stuff if I had a choice? Just spend it quickly. The man yelled at his horse, and he was off. Chapter 11, Power Sale. The quote is from Adam Smith. I have never known much good done by those who affected to trade for the public good. A husky, jolly woman bore down on Jonathan as he stood wondering where to go next. Without hesitation, she grabbed his right hand and began to pump it vigorously. How do you do? Isn't it a fine day? She said. at rapid-fire speed, still working his hand with her meaty arm. "I'm Lady Bess Tweed, your friendly neighborhood representative on the Council of Lords, and I would be most grateful to have your contribution and your vote for my re-election to office. And there you have it. That is the pressing situation for our fine community." "Really?" said Jonathan. The speed and force of her speech knocked Jonathan back a step. He had never met a person who could say so many words in one breath. "Oh, yes," continued Lady Tweed, barely listening to his reply, "and I'm willing to pay you well. Oh, yes, I'm willing to pay you. You can't ask for a better deal, and how about that?" "Pay me for a contribution and a vote?" asked Jonathan with a puzzled look. "Of course, I can't give you cash. That would be illegal. A bribe, say no more," said Lady Tweed, winking slyly at him and poking him in the ribs with her elbow. She continued, "But I can give you something just as good as cash and worth many times the amount of your contribution to me. It's as easy as priming a pump. A few bills in my palm right now, and you can expect a gusher of goodies later. That's what I'll do, and how about that?" "That would be nice," replied Jonathan, who could see she wasn't listening to him anyway. "What's your occupation? I can arrange assistance, loans or licenses or subsidies or tax breaks. I can ruin your competitors with rules and regulations and inspections and fees, so you can see there's no better investment in the world than a well-placed politician. Perhaps you'd like a new road or a park built in your neighborhood, or maybe a large building, or—" "Wait," shouted Jonathan, trying to stop the torrent of words. "How can you give me more than I give you? Are you so very rich and generous?" "Me? Rich? Saints and bullfrogs, no," retorted Lady Tweed. "I'm not rich. Well, not that I will admit. Generous? You could say so, but I don't plan to pay with my own money, of course. You see, I'm in charge of the official treasury, and to be sure, I can be very generous with those funds to the right people." She grinned, winked twice, and nudged him again in the ribs. Jonathan still did not understand what she meant. "But if you buy my contribution and my vote, isn't that sort of like, well, the same as bribery?" Lady Tweed gave him a shrewd look. "I'll be blunt with you, my dear friend." She draped one arm over his shoulder and pulled him uncomfortably tight against her side. "It is bribery, but it's legal when a politician uses money from other people rather than his or her own pocket. Likewise, it is illegal for you to give me cash for specific favors, unless you call it a campaign contribution. Then everything is okay. You can buy 100 copies of my memoirs and not read a single one. Feel uncomfortable giving cash to me directly? Just ask a friend or relative or an associate to offer permanent loans, stock options, or benefits to me or my kin, now or later." She paused expectantly. "Now do you understand?" Jonathan shook his head. "I still don't see the difference. I mean, bribing people for votes and favors is still bribery, no matter who they are or whose money it is. The label makes no difference if the deed is the same." Lady Tweed smiled indulgently. "My dear, dear friend, you've got to be more flexible. The label is everything." With her free hand, she gently grasped his chin and turned Jonathan's head sideways. "What's your name? Did you know you've got a nice profile? You could go a long way if you ran for public office. If you're flexible, I'm sure that I could find you a nice post in my bureau after re-election. Or is there something else you want?" Jonathan shook his head free and managed to wiggle out from under her arm. "What do you get by giving away taxpayers' money? Can you keep the money that's given to you as contributions?" "Oh, some of it is useful for my expenses, and I have a fortune promised to me should I ever retire. But mostly it buys me recognition or credibility or popularity or love or admiration or place in history. All this and more for me and my progeny." Lady Tweed chuckled softly. "Votes are power, and there is nothing I enjoy more than having influence over the life, liberty, and property of every person on this island. Can you imagine how many people come to me, for big and little favors? Every tax and regulation presents an opportunity for me to grant a special exception. Every problem, big or little, gives me more influence. I award free lunches and free rides to whomever I choose. Why, I have the farmers, the coat makers, the tree workers, and all their hired lobbyists eating out of the palm of my hand. Ever since I was a child, I dreamed of such importance. You, too, can share the glory." Jonathan tried to free his hand, but Lady Tweed kept him firmly in her eel-like grip. "Sure," said Jonathan, "you and your friends have a great deal, but don't other people get upset when you use their money to buy votes, favors, and power?" "Certainly," she said, lifting up her plump, double-chinned jaw proudly, "and I hear their concerns, so I've become the champion of reform." Finally releasing Jonathan's hand, Lady Tweed thrust her large, bejeweled fist into the air. "For years I've drafted new rules to take the money out of politics. I always say that the campaign money causes a crisis of major proportions, and I've won a fair share of votes with promises for reform. She paused to smirk and continued. Fortunately for me, I always know a way around my rules, so long as there are valuable favors to sell. She winked and nudged again. Know what I mean? Lady Tweed eyed Jonathan critically, taking in his tattered appearance. No one pays you a penny for favors because you, as yet, have no favors to sell, don't you see? But with your innocent looks and the right backing from me, you could go far. A new set of clothes, elevated shoes, a stylish haircut, and the proper fiancé? Yes, I could definitely triple the beginner's vote tally for you. Then, after 10 or 20 years of careful guidance, well, there's no limit to the possibilities. Look me up at the Palace of Lords and I'll see what I can do. Lady Tweed spotted a group of workers that had gathered across the street, looking forlornly at the shuttered factory. She abruptly lost interest in Jonathan and marched swiftly away, searching for fresh prey. Spending other people's money sounds like trouble, mumbled Jonathan. With ears keenly tuned to any sound of disagreement, Lady Tweed stopped and turned quickly. Did you say trouble? Ha! It really is like taking candy from a baby. What the people don't give to me out of duty, I borrow from them. You see, I'll be long gone and fondly remembered when their yet unborn babies get the bill. What's your name, boy? Jonathan Gullible, ma'am. Lady Tweed's face turned hard and cold. I'll remember you, Jonathan Gullible. If you're not with me, you're against me. I reward friends and punish enemies. You can't stand in the middle, understand me? There you have it. That is the pressing situation for our fine community. Say no more. In a blink, her face snapped back into a broad, beaming smile. Then she vanished down the street. Well, I believe we have found Congresswoman Kay Granger in the story now. I will get back to you tomorrow with Chapter 12, Opportunity Lost. I hope you're enjoying these chapters from Ken Schoolin's great book. Everybody have a great evening. Goodbye.